The role of the Swiss postbus. Switzerland's postbuses are much more than just a means of public transportation. The Swiss Postbus Limited is the largest of the country's 78 coach companies. Administered by the Motor Services Department of the Post Office, it carries over 120 million passengers each year and is carefully integrated with other public transport services, trains, boats, and mountain cableways. The Swiss transportation system resembles a tree, with the larger branches representing federal and private railways, the smaller branches being the coaches, and the twigs being the urban transit operators running trams, city buses, boats, chairlifts, and so on. But the trunk that holds the tree together is the vast postbus network, without which the whole network would not function. There isn't an inhabited place in Switzerland that cannot be reached by some sort of public transport. Federal law and the Swiss Constitution stipulate that every village with a population greater than 40 is entitled to regular bus services. The frequency of these services is directly related to population density. Timetables are put together for years in advance and seldom change. If a new route is to be introduced, the population of the area affected is invited to vote in a referendum. At times, post buses are the main, sometimes the only, links between settlements. These coaches, often with a trailer in tow to increase their capacity, are a common sight in high-altitude regions, and their signature sound, part of Rossini's William Tell Overturn, played by the drivers on three-tone post horns with electrical compressors at every road turn, is one of the most familiar Swiss sounds. The three-tone horns can still be used to talk to post offices and each other from a distance. By altering the combination of the tones, a driver can announce departure of post 1, arrival of post, arrival of special post, and so on, so much more romantic and often more reliable than radio or mobile phones. This musical language started in the mid-19th century, when the coach drivers could also blow their horns a certain number of times on approaching the station to indicate the number of horses needing to be fed, giving the station master time to prepare the fodder. The postbus history goes back to 1849, when the Swiss Postal Service was made a monopoly. The role of today's modern yellow buses was, back then, played by horse-drawn carriages, or in winter by sleighs, in order to travel on snow, which were the same color. By 1914, 8 years after the first motor coaches were introduced, there were still 2,500 horses, 2,231 coaches, or carriages, and 1,059 sleighs in service. After the First World War, Swiss Post bought a fleet of decommissioned military trucks which were converted into post buses, but it was not until 1961 that the last horse-drawn coach was replaced with a motorized version. Today, the Swiss Post Office boasts one of the world's most advanced coach fleets, including fuel cell models and the world's first driverless bus. This was launched in 2015 in the town of Schaun, the capital of the canton of Valais, one of the 26 cantons, or administrative regions, that make up the country. Post buses often go to places that other means of transport cannot reach. Most of the drivers, therefore, see themselves as educators and tour guides. Although it's not in their job description, they're likely to point out the sights, waterfalls, gorges, and so on, and are always ready to pull over for a photo opportunity. Switzerland's longest postbus journey, and one of the highest, crosses 4 mountain passes, an 8-hour trip undertaken by a single postbus. The route goes through several cantons, 2 languages, German and Italian, all 4 seasons, from burning sunshine to showers and heavy snowfalls, and countless places of interest. One of the passes, the Gotthard, is often described as the People's Road, probably because it connects the German-speaking canton of Uri with Italian-speaking Ticino. Like Switzerland itself, postbuses speak all 4 state languages, German, French, Italian, and Romansh, and by law, their automated intercom announcements are given in the language of whichever canton the bus is currently passing through. Irrespective of their previous driving experience, drivers undergo lots of training. During the first year, they have to drive postbuses under the supervision of a more experienced driver. Only after 2 years of safe driving in the valleys can they be pronounced ready for a mountain bus. Some routes are not at all busy, with the bus often carrying just 2 or 3 passengers at a time. But for most people living in small mountain villages, the postbus is of the utmost importance. It not only carries the villagers to town and back, but it also takes village children to and from school, delivers mail, transports milk from the village farms down to the valley, and collects rubbish from the village. Swiss laws do not allow dumping anywhere in the mountains, and brings building materials to households. It takes elderly villagers to shops and carries their shopping up the hill to their homes. More a friend than just a means of transportation, for the dwellers of mountain villages the postbus is an essential part of life.